No alcoholic beverages allowed. Well, we won't tell them.
Well, it's the next morning, and while I did survive the night, I did not get very good sleep. I woke up a ton of times just kind of covered in cold sweat, and I don't know if I'm a little bit sick or if I just pushed myself too hard yesterday. The first thing I have to do today is try and find the correct size tube for the tire, and if I can find one, change the tire. Again, I did find that there's a place about 15 miles away called Adventure Off-Road. I have to think that that's probably my best option. I'm gonna get the bike packed up, head down there, and just hope that there's an answer.
And it's kind of amazing. It's actually only 15 minutes down this exact road. Like, I won't even be making any turns. Oh, there it is. All right, we'll see. Well, I'm doing a lot better right about now. The owner, proprietor, was a great dude. You know, he hooked me up with a cold bottle of water, and we got this tube changed up on a stand. Get that back brake tightened up. It's only 11 in the morning right now. Still pretty early in the day, so I think what I'm gonna do is try and hit the trail, but then I'm gonna head south to Florence, Alabama. It's been a rough couple of days. I haven't gotten a lot of rest. I'm pretty tired, so I think that I am going to treat myself to an early camp next to a river, get some food, get in a swim, and regain some of my energy and some of my faith in this trip.
As I turned off the main roads, I was finding it hard to stay focused. Bad sleep and exertion were catching up with me, and all I could think about was getting out of Lawrenceburg and finding some shady spot to take a nap.
So my current plan is to head for this town called Collinwood, which is directly on the Tat. And then that's about 40 minutes to Florence. Now that I've been riding for a minute, I might do well to double check all the handiwork back here. Always 100% important to look over the work from shops, because even if somebody's a nice person who knows what they're doing, can still mess up. Oh man, I'm almost back to being happy to be on the bike. Well, here's the first bit of dirt riding for today, which, if you don't like deep gravel, this might not be your road. Uh-oh. Okay then. So I'm about a third of the way to Collinwood, and I've probably only been gone from the shop for 30 or 45 minutes. So I'm thinking I should be in Collinwood by 2 or 2:30, and then I should be able to be in Florence by about 3. I hope that's not too late to get one of the campsites. I did try to book a campsite, but you have to book in person, so no such luck there. But this is exactly the kind of dirt riding I needed this morning.
I kept a good pace, interrupted occasionally by shallow stream crossings and the rutted climbs on the other side. The wide dirt byways made for an easy ride, and it wasn't long before I found myself outside of a small town.
Well, y'all, we made it to Collinwood. Perfect. Local arts and crafts, espresso, fruit smoothies. Oh man, my life is a lot better with a fruit smoothie. If I were you and you're passing through Collinwood, I would definitely hit up the green, I think it's called the Green Dragonfly. I didn't see much in the way of food on the menu. They had sweets, but I wouldn't really say it was a place to stop and get food. However, they have bathrooms, they have Wi-Fi, everybody's super friendly, everything was cheap, so I would definitely consider stopping off here when you're passing through Collinwood, especially if it's so hot that you feel like you need a strawberry cheesecake smoothie. And you do. That was exactly what the doctor ordered. That and standing around in an air-conditioned cafe while they made it. But yeah, Collinwood's pretty nice. It's not like a big town. I think I saw on Sam's map at one point that there is a hotel here, but I haven't come across it, so I can't really inform you on that. There's like a sweet spot between urban and rural, and that's part of why I'm interested in seeing Florence, because it's supposed to be a pretty cool little place. I love living in Atlanta for a lot of reasons, but I'm definitely in the market for a smaller city where people are still homey and friendly, but also you have shops where things cost more than $1. That would be optimal in my mind. As far as I can tell, I'm entering Florence now. So far, it doesn't look that different from any other place I've been, just twice the size. But I've heard good things. There's the University of North Alabama. Oh man, if they've got a couple of sushi restaurants and some good bars, I could live here. So as far as I can tell, I just follow this through the middle of town, and then I'll take a right on Coffee Street, and that should drop me by this park. Oh man, this is a pretty little town. I like my odds. McFarland Park. That's the one I'm looking for. Ooh, this is nice. Primitive tent, 14 per night. Campground office. No need to knock. Come on in.
I have to admit that when I first read about camping in McFarland Park, I wasn't picturing RVs and a numbered lawn under the blazing July sun. I was desperate for an afternoon nap, so my only option was to claim one of the few remaining lots with tree cover and hope that I had quiet neighbors.
Looking at the map, there doesn't look to be a lot of opportunity for me to go out tonight. This park is just so big. Like, there are restaurants close to this park, but this park is almost a mile long, and I'm at the far end of it away from town. So I think instead, I'm going to go into town, get some pizza, pick up some money, maybe ride around for a minute and just kind of get a feel for the town, and then come back here and just chill. And tonight I will cook a Mountain House meal. But for now, time to get back on the bike. So before I get pizza, I just kind of wanted to cruise the neighborhood here. I also wanted to come see this Frank Lloyd Wright house. That's right, the only Frank Lloyd Wright house in Alabama. I mean, this is nice. Nice little walkable downtown area. The Pie Factory. There she blows. So I got my objectives basically accomplished. Got one beer. Had some pizza. I really just don't know what I'm going to do with my afternoon now. Camp's all set. I don't need to make a fire. On that note, I'm going to have to cut this short here because I do not want to burn through my one remaining camera battery going 2 miles per hour behind this person.
I wouldn't end up getting much sleep that night either. As it turns out, my next-door neighbor had planned himself a good old time that evening, and we had shared a few beers by the time he cut himself open with my razor-sharp foldable saw and fell asleep, mouth open on the ant and roach-infested ground. You know that urban legend that people eat, on average, 11 spiders a year while sleeping? Well, this guy's throwing the curve.
So, it's about 12 hours later or whatever. I've been camping in McFarland Park in wherever we are, Florence, Alabama. It was stiflingly hot last night in the tent, even at midnight, even at 1, just pouring sweat. So I had to reorient the tent in the middle of the night to try and catch as much of the breeze as possible. But as you can see, this tent has very, very small exhaust ports at the back. So I probably ended up getting 4 to 5 hours of sleep, maybe. And unfortunately, this probably needs to be my last day heading out if I want to head back on the bike. Anyway, I'm still on my last camera battery for the moment, so I'm not going to do too much recording of me sitting around sweating. But suffice to say, it's a little hellacious and I need some air conditioning at some point.
That's it. It's a couple hours later here, and I'm leaving the campsite. I would really like to guzzle some cold water before I deal with changing the oil. I mean, it's not like the bike's going to explode. I could potentially wait and do the oil change somewhere else, but Florence is a pretty big town, and I don't want to try and do it somewhere smaller. Just going to head to Taco Bell first, get some lunch, and then we'll see about Walmart.
The tight maintenance intervals are one of the EXC line's only weaknesses in a dual sport role. I don't worry too much about riding past the recommendations when necessary, but on a 5-day trip, an oil and filter change were inevitable.
All right, I'm back in from Walmart, and they are going to accept the oil in just an oil pan, so I bought that for about $2.50, and bought a lot of water to keep me going during this, and whatever's left over will go into the water bladders. However, I would note that they did have to chat amongst themselves about whether or not they would accept the oil in this kind of container, so I would definitely ask before starting this process if you're thinking about doing something like this. Well, I've had lunch, drank like 10 liters of water. I've refilled my water on the bike, my drinking water that is. I've changed the oil, oiled the filter. As it is for now, I'm ready to head back to the trail. It's already almost 2, so I'm going to kind of cut the corner and ignore about 30 miles of the trail, 30 to 50 miles of the trail. One of the first big cities in Mississippi is Corinth. I've got, 5-6 hours before it's dark out, so I want to try to get to Corinth. So basically I'm just jamming out some road miles, then I'll just turn off, pick it up for the last bit of Tennessee, I think the last 50 or 70 miles of Tennessee, and then I'll be in Mississippi. Man, wherever you go in the world, well, in America anyway, you will find a mailbox. Somebody's out here.
The next few hours saw the back roads change from dirt and clay to wide sections of gravel that forked endlessly over scrubby hilltops and into dusty pine forests. It was another blazing hot afternoon, and I was thankful when the trees began to close in overhead and I started to see signs of running water.
I've been going up and down the most insane gravel hills for the past 10 minutes. I don't so much mind hill climbs, but descents are not my favorite thing. Oh, see? All right, get up on those pegs. I'm really excited about seeing this much water, though. I've been passing lakes, and I've done 6 or 8 small creek crossings. It's just so hot. It's just reassuring to know that there is plentiful, cool water around if I had a breakdown or a flat or something. So, I don't know when the camera stopped filming. Oh, the battery died at some point, but I had a good drop, maybe a mile back in some water. It was just a series of like step rocks, but they were a little slick. So I had a little drop there, made it about mile up the road, and noticed that it felt like I was holding the handlebars to one side to go straight. The front wheel had become misaligned, So you had to hold the handlebars sideways to take it straight. You can try and find a couple of posts or trees like that, maybe not with barbed wire, and wedge the wheel between them, then pull on the bars, because usually if they would twist in anything less than a catastrophic accident, then you can probably twist them back yourself with a little manpower. It's pretty hot just standing here, so I'm gonna get back to it. Now if that ain't a bunch of flat land.
As I made my way toward the Tennessee River and the border of Mississippi, the trees thinned and gave way to open farmland. Perched on the back of the 500, I could see for hundreds of yards in any direction, and I opened the bike up to let the rush of dry air wick away the sweat of the afternoon. Here and there I slowed to pass an ATV or an old pickup truck, and as always, the bike and luggage were a conversation starter.
Finally out of that miles and miles of gravel. That was kind of fun. It was a good chance to go 50 in the dirt. I probably saw 6 or 8 ATVs out there, and one of them was parked right in the middle of the road, and they asked me to, they were like, come on, talk to us for a second. And I was thinking, uh-oh, what's it gonna be? They ended up just being interested where I was from and everything. And they were like, yeah, we had these guys from England down there. They flew all the way over here to come ride. And I was like, yeah, it's the Transamerica Trail. People come from all over the world. And they're like, man, they had a beer with us. They didn't know what Budweiser was. And we talked for a long time. And I mean, if that ain't what the Transamerica Trail is all about, I don't know what is. I mean, that's an impressive dam. I was talking to a bartender. Woo, that stinks. God. Oh, you do not want a house on this river. What is that? Why does it smell like that? What are they doing over here? Is there like a skunk corpse factory? God, that was smelly. I don't know what that was all about.
With the light fading from the sky, I pushed west, determined not to let the sun set on me in Tennessee. In the last few minutes, a line had appeared at the top of my map, and it was all I could do to not obsessively watch it getting closer.
Well, as you can see, the day is getting a little bit long in the tooth, but I'll tell you one exciting thing. But real close to another state, a state famous for, that's it. We're in Mississippi. Woo! Finally, I made it out of Tennessee. All right, let's Corinth it up. So I only did a couple miles on that big road before I was back to this, which is very similar to what I've been riding all day. Got a bridge closure here. So I should probably walk over and make sure it doesn't just end. What are we looking at here? Certainly looks like it can take my weight. I'm kidding, that bridge looks fine. Paddle up. Well, I've made it into Corinth, and it's a sizable little town. I'm happy. I think this was a good place to stop. And looking at the approaching sunset, I would have had to figure out something soon regardless. Connell Lodge, Quality Inn, Hampton Inn. The Holiday Inn Express is a little more than I want to spend, but I'm tired. It would be nice to have a nice room. So I'm just going to go there.
I had chosen the Holiday Inn in no small part because it shared a parking lot with a Ruby Tuesdays, and after checking in, I limped over to find some food before their kitchen closed. By the end of my second beer, I was trading stories and shots with an older Harley rider who had grown up down the street, and as we settled up, he handed me a napkin scrawled with a strange name and made me promise that I'd make one more stop on my way out of town.
So I'm on my way into what I would guess is historic Corinth to go to this little drugstore, which apparently makes these train really, which apparently makes these hamburger variants called slug burgers. I probably should have just gone. Yeah, me too, buddy. Me too, buddy. So yeah, I'm going to get this variant on a hamburger called a slug burger, which is apparently a Mississippi original. And I was told that it would be the height of ill conscience to not have one while I was here. So, and apparently this drugstore was like, okay, was owned by somebody or used as a Confederate meeting place or something. Which, to tell you the truth, for somebody from the South, I've never been super into the Civil War, but okay. Borum's Drugstore, that should be the place. Cash or check only, no card. Alright, I'll let you know how it is. So, that place was actually pretty cool. I had my first fountain drink of my life, which was really awesome and tasted great. And the slug burger, for anyone not from these parts, is a local delicacy made of soy flour, ground pork, some various spices, and then deep fried as a patty and served up like a burger with, in my case, mustard and pickles and onions. And if you think that sounds horrible, soy flour and ground pork, you are not alone, but it was actually fantastic. So I would definitely check it out if you get a chance. So now I start the long ride home. Man, motorcycle traveling is just like any other kind of travel. As soon as you're hitting your stride, it's time to go home. But on my next trip of this sort, I need to see if there's some way to cut down some of the riding time getting to and from the trail. Like I was thinking about trying to go further out today and then maybe trying to get a U-Haul or something. Anyway, I've got to figure something else out.
The route from Corinth back to Atlanta is an unbelievably straight shot, spending an hour on US 72 before serving up the main course, a 3+ hour southeasterly grind down US 278. As I left Muscle Shoals, the rain slacked off, traffic thinned, and I found myself alone again in the awesome vastness of central Alabama and western Georgia.
Man, what beautiful weather to come back into. Now that's an open road. Hey, there's the same Christian chicken place that I went to on the way up. And there's the same gas station I stopped at. Well, howdy. Smells like fried food. That's how you know you're in Georgia. Well, that and the beautiful people and the gorgeous weather. I'm still on 278 East. I've basically been on 278 East since Mississippi. I can smell the oldness of this truck from back here. Not the exhaust, but the actual interior. Then you got this, the Atlanta roundabout. So you got the Atlanta crosswalk, which is when somebody just walks out in the street. You got the Atlanta turn signal, which is when somebody slams on their brakes randomly in front of you. And then you got the Atlanta roundabout, where somebody just does a U-turn in the middle of the road. I like naming things after places. Ah, the first view of the city. Hell yeah. That's it. That's the second part of the Transamerica Trail from Tennessee to Mississippi. Oh, and I've even got an empty driveway to park in. Oh yeah. That'll do, bush pig. That'll do.
After 5 sweltering days on the back of a dirt bike, I'd like to say that getting home was a relief, that it felt good to shed my jacket and helmet and stop living out of a bag. But like a man fresh from a tossing sea, I felt almost sick with stillness as I started to unload. There are still so many more places to see, so many unique and memorable personalities to experience, that even now I have to ignore the part of me that wants to keep going. Just one more mile, just one more hill. In a few months I'll be heading back to the trail, but for now I'll have to settle for one more beer. Until next time, stay safe and enjoy the ride.